Good evening, good evening. We're back at it with another live stream. I know this is not normally my time slot, but here I am. Gotta get this in tonight. So, vibes, what are vibes? What is a frequency? And how to attract like minded individuals, like minded people that have the correct vibes, the correct frequency. A lot of people like to make fun of vibes. A lot of people talk down on vibes. They think it's some kind of joke because black people like to talk about vibes all the time. You got a lot of ladies with their crystals talking about vibes. But the vibes, they're a real thing. Everything in our world is vibration. Matter itself, if you look on an atomic level, these particles are vibrating, and that's what creates matter. That's what creates the things that we have in front of us that we see every day. And these vibrations actually prove, to a certain extent, if your eyes are open, they prove that there's creation. They're proving that everything has a purpose, everything has been designed, right? Because when you look at music, for example, music, there is no my truth in music. There is only the truth in music. When you look at notes, musical notes, right? If a note is off, your song is not going to ring true. You call it ring true. You have a tuning fork. The resonance of the proper note is compatible with the tuning fork. When you're on the correct vibration or frequency, the tuning fork reacts, telling you that the note is true. So when you have musical notes, this is a truth. This scale of music, this is truth. And if your notes are off, you're going to know right away. That's why when you're tuning a guitar, you're tuning any instrument, you have a tuner, right? And this tuner will tell you when your note is true. So, going into now how, as men, we may encounter some women who like to talk about my truth and their truth, his truth, everybody got their own truth. Now, this is nonsense. And modern day men go along with this, because they're trying to smash. I'm telling you right now, the last thing you want to do is go along with what is untrue to appease others, right? This is something that I will never do. I know the truth of a matter. I will never go back on what I know to appease someone else. And this whole my truth idea has been brought forth by mostly women because, for the most part, women, a lot of them are dishonest. A lot of them don't tell the truth. So they had to create new terminology such as my truth so that what they're speaking can ring true to them and they don't feel like they're being deceptive. But when I tell you that there is only the truth, just like how on a musical scale, if the note is not true, your song is off. You're not playing the right track. You're not playing the right melody, right? Just like how your melody will be off, if someone is speaking contrary to the truth, the objective truth, just like in music, the objective truth of the music, of the musical notes, right away, that's nonsense. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example here because I'm very visual. So I got some examples here. Bear with me. I'm just going to get my screen share. So now we see this example of vibration, right? We see this example of vibes. Now, what this is showing us is all of these balls. They're tethered on a stick, if you will, a flexible stick, and they're all on the same moving platform. However, depending on the vibes that this gentleman is putting out, right? Depending on the frequency of his movement, different different colored balls are reacting, right? So when I'm going back to now women and how you have men and women. I'm talking to the men, but women do this as well, where they'll say, "Oh, there's no good men out there," and men will say, "Oh, there's no good women out there. All these women are X, Y, Z, right? All these women are thoughts, or all these women are this and that." Now, this is very clear that if you're encountering only a certain type of woman, or a woman if you're encountering only a certain type of man, right? This is directly related to your vibration, right? This is very clear. This is being demonstrated in the material realm, right? You see, the gentleman is shaking the platform. They're all attached to the same platform, but depending on his frequency, different balls react, right? So, as a man, right, depending on which frequency you have, different women will react. Different opportunities in life will present themselves, right? And this goes for women, this goes for courtship, this goes for your friendships, your acquaintances, this goes for your career, whatever. Any part of your life is affected by the vibration and the frequency that you have and that you're emitting out into the world. So the number one thing that we can take away from these frequencies is that we have to always emit the correct frequency that we want to come back to us. We can't expect to have a high value of individual, or a high value of career, or a high value of lifestyle if emitting the correct frequency. It's one thing to dream, it's one thing to, see things that we want and desire. But if you don't got the right frequency, you're never going to be on that level. So I like to always bring a biblical aspect to this because the Bible talks a lot about women and the behaviors of women. And I know a lot of religious institutions, they don't touch on these things, but these things are very important. The number one thing that most stories in the Bible are showing men is that we should not be listening to women. We should not be following the woman. Because every story that you see in the Bible, or I should say almost most of the stories that we see in the Bible that are depicting women's behavior are showing men that have listened to the woman, have followed the woman's instructions and direction. This was their downfall. Whether you look at kings, whether you look at any man in the Bible, you name it. You could look at Samson, you could look at King Solomon, you could look at the list goes on and on, right? From the beginning. From the beginning in the garden, Adam and Eve, the downfall of man was Adam listening to the woman. And I get a lot of backlash from this. I get a lot of, Christian girls coming in the comments. I get a lot of men too, throwing the cape on, here to save the day, right? Telling me how I'm off on this interpretation of scripture. But it's very clear. To me, it's extremely clear. And how that's relevant is this whole my truth idea. These women that put forth this idea of my truth, and the men go along with it. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You can never have two versions of the truth. You can have what is true, and then you have the truth, which is an overstanding perspective, right? The truth has all aspects of the story, right? Whereas, quote unquote, my truth will have my perspective, someone else's truth will have their perspective. But that doesn't mean that it is the truth. And that also does not mean that there is not a such thing as the truth, the objective truth, right? So when you encounter these types of women that put forth these ideas of my truth, just understand that these, for the most part, these are deceptive women, because nobody that is engaging with the truth would put forth these ideas. So I had another short video that I made, and this is about babies, because sometimes as men we encounter women who say that they hate babies. Now, don't get this confused with women who say they don't want children, they don't have an intention of having children. That's completely different than a woman who says she hates children. Someone who says that they hate children, you should run. As a man, you should run.
Here's why if a woman ever tells you she hates children, you should run and never look back, because you can see God in the face of a child. The innocence, the expression, the purity. And in Proverbs 29:27, it says, "The wicked hate the good, the wicked despise the godly." And what is more godly than a child? God is truth. And these women hate the truth and they hate God.
So these women, right? These women hate the truth. A woman that says that she hates children, she hates the truth, because when you look at a child, I'm talking very young, before they have learned to be deceptive, to do something and hide their intentions. You look at a child, and especially their facial impressions, right? Children tell no lies. They have to be informed. They have to be taught how to be deceptive by adults. They have to be taught how to be wicked. Children, they're a sponge. All they do is observe. So when they observe adults, and they're very perceptive, when they observe adults doing all kind of things and being deceptive, this is how they learn these behaviors. So women who say that they hate children, you know that this is a woman that hates truth. I could boil that down for you right there, you know? So these are the types of women that you should stay away from. I don't care what she looks like. I don't care where she came from. Any chick that telling me that she hates children, I'm a I'm a head out. And when you look at the world and how the world works, this is why a lot of these Western countries, a lot of these, college educated, university educated individuals, they're discouraged from learning a trade, for example, learning how to work with tools, learning how to garden, learning how to do anything in the physical reality. Everything is theoretical for them. Why are they discouraged from these leisures, behaviors, jobs, professions? Because there's no way that you could be a farmer, you could be a carpenter, you could be an electrician, you could be a plumber, and not believe in objective truth. There is no way that you could be in any of these professions or practice these hobbies, such as gardening, and not understand objective truth. Because nature, and I say nature, and that also lends itself to those professions such as plumbing, electrical, carpentry, what have you. Nature, the real physical realm, is showing us design, is showing us truth, right? And this ties into frequency as well. Nature is showing us truth, and everything you see, everything that we have in front of us, everything that we have in our homes, every tool we've used, every device we're on, these computers, these phones, these tablets, everything that you could pick up in your home. I could pick up anything. I have a remote. I have a remote here for LED light panel. Anything you pick up or look at in your home was designed. Everything was designed, right? I'm gonna tie this in. I'm gonna show you how what I'm getting to here. Everything in your home or outside of your home was man-made, other than nature, right? natural things, the trees, the water outside, nature, the birds in the trees, the squirrels, the groundhogs, skunks. These are things of nature, right? But everything that we use that is in the physical realm that we have devised was designed. So how is it now that we can go to nature, that we can look at a tree, or we can look at these complex organisms, or we can look even at the human being, right? We can look at the human brain, which is considered the most complicated thing in our universe. The human brain is considered the most complex thing in our universe. Something that we, although we are extremely haughty as human beings, we are extremely educated. We got medical professionals, surgeons, neuro developers, we got all type of things. We have still not mapped out the human brain in its entirety because it is the most diverse and the most complex thing known to man. All right. So how do we get at such complex ideas or complex construction and determine that these things were not designed, that the human body was not designed, that the grass was not designed, that trees working with organisms emitting oxygen, taking in carbon dioxide, emitting oxygen, this whole balance of earth. How is it that we could come to this haughty conclusion that these things were not designed when everything that we have as human beings, which are less complex, right? And for the most part, their designs are borrowed off of designs that we observe in nature. How is it possible that these things came about from random chance? The evolutionists have determined that these things came about over millions of years of change, heat, cold. I want to ask you, how do you get heat? Heat itself is a concept, right? How do you have heat and cold? How is there a division between heat and cold if there was nothing? You can't have these principles themselves follow a law, right? And this is where I'm tying it back into frequency, because going back into the music, this is a law, right? Those notes, those notes are a law. They're unchanging. They always will be, they always have been. So the fact that this is a law, unchanging, always has been, always will be, this is a design. That music ringing true to your ear, ringing true to the tuning fork, when you tune a guitar, that is a design. So I don't know how we came to this conclusion that this stuff came about. You want to even look on a scientific level. Entropy dictates that nothing constructs itself. We have only witnessed, we have only observed throughout all of history, throughout all of the history of science, we have only ever observed things decaying. Anything that has been created or anything that we know of always decays. It never becomes something more developed. It always becomes less developed. Entropy, it always decays, right? So my truth is utter nonsense, right? And these frequencies, these are pre-designed laws. And in order for you to get on a level that you want to be, you got to make sure that you're on the correct frequency in order to resonate with what you're looking for. I'm going to go back to Homeboy, right? You got to make sure that you on the right frequency, right? So that you can resonate, so that you are compatible with what you're trying to get out of life. And this could be dating, this could be your career, this could be friends, Any aspect of your life follows this simple rule of frequency. So you got to get on the right frequency, y'all. That being said, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, share. I don't usually push that stuff, but do it, because a lot of people, they'll come through and they're afraid of the like button. People act like the like button comes out of their account. It's free. I'm not asking you for no money. You know, if you see value in something and you want to give money for something you see value in, that's how the markets are created, right? But I'm not asking you for $1. I'm just asking you for a like. So the likes will not make your bank balance go down, all right? Trump did not put tariffs on the like button, all right? So don't be shy. Like, share, subscribe, get on the right frequency.